All right, last half hour. We know what that means. We go to Seattle, and we talk about some serious stuff, and we talk about Major League Soccer on the whole from the Pacific perspective, what happened last night with Los Angeles and Colorado, get you ready for the weekend. And this is where we find out what cup of coffee our buddy Nico Moreno is on. So what cup of coffee are you on, sir?
Hey, what's going on, John? How am I coming on?
You are crystal clear, sir. You are 2 cups of coffee in, and you are good to go.
That's right. I am 2 in. I am a little bit, not a lot of sleep last night. Had to catch up on those 2 midweek games that were a little bit later.
Catch up. I see where you're talking. I got to catch up. Yes. Oh, I know where you were going. I know.
That's right. That's right. You gotta get it while you can get it, right?
Absolutely true. But we are always glad that you get to come on and hang out with us. We got to start with what happened in Seattle with Seattle and Columbus. Stefan Frei made it to Providence and Swedish bouncy house and shooting gallery, and went to go and catch up with his teammates. You were there for that, and I'm gonna ask it this way: was it as scary in person as it looked on television? The injury to Stefan Frei.
It was. It was even more dramatic because you're seeing it live. You are getting the reaction from all the guys, right? You're seeing tears in people's eyes. You're, seeing the public, the fans, just everybody phones out, everybody in almost in tears. The supporting section. I was actually starting to walk out of the stadium because I had some to get to right after. I actually had to do the press conference via Zoom. Um, and so I got to see the reaction of all the fans on the side of like the club seats. And man, it was, you could hear a pin drop while Stephen Fry was on the ground. So it was very dramatic. Nobody knew what was going to happen. It escalated little by little, right? I mean, first is the collision, then is Steph on the ground in that fencing position or fencing stance that that there's some trauma there. Then is he moving? He finally is. There's some movement of the legs. And then eventually is the ambulance coming on. Of course, because I'm on the side of where the fans are at, you could hear uh, the call, right? The Apple TV call, and you could hear Brian Smetzer on the mic clearly plead with the referee to just call the game, and then you see Wilfred get involved, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we need to get this done and over with." So that was pretty remarkable, and I praise Wilfred for not even hesitating and being the one that actually approaches the situation and says, "Hey, yeah, I'm okay with just calling this thing off." Um, we still have not heard from Pro. I know that Jeremiah has been making some inquiries about what the process is and what the reality is if a situation like that was to happen again. End of the game, couple of minutes left. There's a dramatic situation as it happened, and you decide as a referee that you want to take the last corner kick. I just don't understand it. And I get the competitive side, and had that corner kick made a difference for Columbus, I don't even know if they would take those points. I think the only guy that maybe looked like he was trying to take it was Diego Rossi. He was really like involved with with the referee. I mean, no, I haven't talked to him. No one has really. But aside from that, I just don't know how you could expect Christian Roldan and Jackson Reagan and Jordan Morris trying to defend a corner kick after seeing their brother, their leader, their captain taken off in an ambulance like that, not knowing what was to be of his health. So it was a very traumatic situation for sure.
And I give Wilfred Nancy all the credit in the world, where literally Brian is talking to the fourth. Brian Schmetzer is talking to the fourth, who I imagine it has center ref, in the headset. And Brian's like,
Yep.
call it, call it, call it. And then once Wilfred eases over and he's trying to find out what Brian's talking to the fourth about, Wilfred's like, yep, no, we're done. Literally, it's like, nope, call it. I'm not, I give Wilfred a lot of credit in this for the humanity that was attached to that moment. And I would venture that the discussion that we hope we get to hear on the Inside the VAR studio in the Friday news dump, which is traditionally when they put it, it's like, okay, when is everyone distracted and when can we post this? I may check in with Pro myself and find out what protocol is in a situation like that. But I give Wilfred a lot of credit for his humanity. But I want to hear the conversation from the fourth to the center about the rationale of, okay, we've still got, you're in the 100 and something minute. You're like the 100 and I think the 100th minute, and you still want to continue. I would love to hear the conversation from the fourth to the center, and maybe even, hear in the background what's going on where Wilfred and Brian Schmetzer are like, nope, we're done. We're out the door.
And that's the conversation we were having there at the clubhouse yesterday with Jeremiah, and in his attempt to hear from Pro, because the way our conversation went is, look, I don't want to fall too harshly on the referee because he's likely thinking by the book and
Yeah.
maybe trying to go back to his training, which I'm sure didn't cover that. Maybe it wasn't handled adequately, and that, like you said, the humanity, the empathetic component of a human being to me would be, look, I can't ask these guys to continue to play. And anyone, because I had heard a lot of inhumane comments in my social medias,
Really?
anybody who is projecting that that sort of call is soft and that it wouldn't happen in any other league, and that that's just an MLS thing, and you got to go throughout the game. I mean, I can grasp it. I cannot fathom. I can't comprehend that sort of thought process. And so, because of all those things, you got to remove that from the game. If I'm MLS, and there's got to be some protocol for something like this to happen, because it could be something else. It could be heat stroke. It could be a heart attack. It could be, another collision that happens at the end of a game where, that's your teammate on the ground. And I get that if it was the 45th minute, 46th minute, we've seen it happen in FIFA before, where there's a health concern and you have to continue to play the game. But in this instance, with those circumstances on the line, it feels like the call should have been pretty easy to make. And it was nothing but that. It was the opposite coach of the opposition having to talk to the ref, the coach that's being directly affected, pleading with the refereeing, and that's something that needs to be taken care of.
You had people on your social media running the negative on this?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Saying that in no other league in the world would that have happened. That it should have been a corner kick, and that sort of thing just happens. And this one specific person even said, once uh, 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 Stefan Frei is all good and well because it was just a concussion, this narrative is going to look even dumber, and that just is beyond me. Like,
That's the concussion.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Exactly. So it's ignorance, is lack of empathy, is this belief that because we are being better than we should be, you're less of a man or a competitive or something like that. I mean, it's just outrageous.
All right. So contact is made. Stefan Frei hits the turf and he goes into fighter pose, which is the telltale sign of a traumatic brain injury. and you're having people sitting there saying it's just a concussion.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Hmm.
I am laughing at the hubris of that individual, the grapefruits, the cojones, the lack of understanding from that particular individual. The guy was concussed and had a TBI and had contact that, oh God, I'm now livid with you as opposed to being livid for you. I mean that is ridiculous that someone would sit there and say, "Oh, it's just a concussion. Everything's fine." No, it ain't. I'm Please tell me that that was just a lone wolf in all of this, or did you have more than
Yeah,
people?
he was the most vocal, but there were others that, in a less direct way, kind of mentioned, moments in South America where there's been a big cut or a big collision, and things move on, or there's been something in the stands where violence hits. But again, to me, that is just antiquated, train of thought, and just thinking that the sport's bigger than life. And that's why I was very pleased by how Brian uh approached the uh press conference after. He was very vulnerable. His
Yeah,
voice cracked as
yeah.
he thanked Wilfred Nancy. He went into the Diogo Jota situation. We just lost somebody. He
Mhm.
went into, all these things that in sports should be thought beyond what happens on the field, right? And that we should just think about that more often than not.
Yeah. So here, for those that might have missed it, here was Brian after the match talking about it.
I'm very happy to our medical staff because they did a good job to be careful. We can't underestimate that type of stuff. And certainly Wilfred, I appreciate what he did because the ref wasn't going to stop the game. And everybody knew that the game should have been stopped. So good on him. So thank you, Wilfred. Okay.
All right, with that, we'll start with questions. Maz, the mic is coming from Augusto to you.
Yeah, Brian, I want to just speak to moments like this that where, they're bigger than football, and it kind of
Much bigger.
focuses all of us to, the greater things about
Be
life.
better. Be better people. Nicer to people. Yeah, Moz, for sure. And we all should. The world would be a better place.
That's all I got for you.
Okay?
All right, we'll go to Jeremiah.
No tactics.
Just on the decision there at the end, I assume you asked that the game be ended,
Yeah.
and so what was the exchange that you had with the referee on that?
He was going to give a corner. And I said, it can't be a corner kick. It's either a foul or stop the game. And then Wilfred, figured out that it's bigger than a corner kick in the game. And then both of us came together, and the ref finally, when both head coaches came together, decided to make the right decision.
So just so I understand, it sounds like Wilfred took it upon himself to sort of
Yeah.
say, no, the game it's not like the ref came to him and said, what do you want to do?
No, absolutely not.
Brian Schmetzer after the match, and so that I am incredulous, and I'm seething on multiple levels because of the reaction that sadly comes out in situations like this. It's like, people, just think for a second. I mean, legitimately, just think for a second about a situation like this.
It's almost hard for me to provide context because I would love to say, look, if you've played sports, and if you haven't played sports, if you have worked in the same place more than a couple of years, a lot of your coworkers become, you see them more than your own family. In sports, there's a bigger camaraderie. There's a family sense of things, and putting that into scale of how worried, how concerned. You heard it in Brian Smertz's voice. There's frustration, and there's like almost some panic to his voice, because this is somebody who he thinks of as a son. He said that this week. They're like my sons. But when I say that, I kind of stop myself and I say, is that what the parameter is I can only feel empathy for somebody that I know, for somebody that's family, for somebody that's a friend, and not somebody that was just concussed in the middle of the field, and he could just be just anybody, and I feel like you need to stop the game. And once again, these are the things that some people will call me for and stuff, because you're thinking that this is like a soft mentality, but to me it's just humane. To me it's just the way that you should act.
I mean, you're a dad. You specifically are a father. You have family that is now in the Palouse attending college. Do you have your Wazoo mug, by the way, this morning, or what mug do you have?
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, he's got the Wazoo mug. You're a dad. You know what it means to be there for family. You know what it means to be there for those that you care about, that you love, that you're there, and it's not just blood relative. And I mean, to have the ignorance that is attached to moments like this, it's like, grow up. Grow up for about 30 seconds and think about it. And it's just, it is unfathomable to me that sometimes we have to go back down this road. I thought it was important to talk about it. I didn't realize we were going to go this far down this road when it came to it. I'm not complaining at all that we went down this road, because I think it's important. But just, I think it's a reminder of what is important in situations like this. Yes, it's a game. Yes, you're a fan, but think about it for more than just a second and a half and understand that there's more in play than just wins and losses and points and playoffs and things like that.
Yeah, the positives are that I think this is an experience that always unites teams. Everyone that we spoke to, from Obed to Jordan, talked about that moment, what was going through their minds as the ambulance pulled up, and everything that comes with that. And I'm hoping that those stories, those voices, kind of bring awareness to people. Same thing as as with journalists as you and Jeremiah and I, we'll try to get to the bottom of it. And eventually, though, Stefan Frei was at the clubhouse yesterday, which was great. Brian Spencer said that he wanted to show up, wanted to show everybody that he was okay, and that's leadership within itself, right? He knew he wasn't going to be able to play, of course. He was just watching training for the majority of the first 15 to 20 minutes of practice. He talked to the team. That is the way he's showing his team that he appreciates all of the concern, all of the messages that he got from across the board, teammates, former teammates. I spoke to Nicolas Lodero. He reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, Steph, okay, what happened?" I got to talk to him for a bit. He said, "Please send them my love and my best wishes." And those things are what really came out of this whole thing. Is Stefan Frei is an iconic presence in the soccer community, certainly in the Pacific Northwest soccer community. That's on and off the field. He's a guy that has been embedded into this community so hardly, and he's just beyond being a champion, beyond providing 1,000 saves for in MLS, all the trophies that he brought to this city. I think his aura and his humanity is beyond that, and all of that kind of came to fruition in this scary moment.
Yeah, and now that you've got to spend time up there at the Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and Hair Emporium, you've got to focus on a match, and it's Andrew Thomas. Andrew, I believe, spoke to the media yesterday, and he's dialed up and ready to go.
He's dialed out, ready to go. He definitely understands that's not a situation he wanted to be on, but he's got to be ready. We also talked to Jordan Morris, who basically called him, one of the hardest guys to score on in training. He said he has the biggest bounce out of anybody in the clubhouse. He's so athletic, and so they're very confident that he can be that guy and provide the guy that's going to hold the fort until Stefan Frei can come back. They have a game at Sporting Kansas City on the road. They'll be practicing today, traveling tomorrow. There is some positive news there from the clubhouse. Gamer Gomez Andrade and Kim Ki-hee were both full on practice. I don't expect them to start this game, though. They're being extremely cautious with all of the injuries that the team is currently suffering. Jordan Morris looks 100%. I'd say that he's a go to start in this one. So those are the positives. There's just a couple more lingering injuries. Stu Hawkins being one of those that's probably going to be out of still a couple of weeks, but this team is closely getting back into health. They're going against Sporting Kansas City, a team that got a very hard-fought win against Colorado at Colorado. I think it was the first time they've won at Colorado in a decade. They did it by kind of absorbing a lot of pressure and kind of hoping Colorado wouldn't score. Colorado was not clinical in front of goal, to say the least, but they got an early goal that changed the game by Jovic, and then they were able to build on that and get a second to win that game. Although they're not the most dangerous team on attacking statistics, I think that at Sporting Kansas City, they're always a difficult team. I think that Manu Garcia is a very good player. Jovic clearly, slowly and silently climbing up the ladder in the Golden Boot race. He's very, very good. So it's going to be an interesting match for Seattle.
Yeah, the back line against the back line of Seattle going up against the Bishop, and the offense for Sporting. Obviously, prohibitive favorite. Seattle a plus 119 on the road. Sporting is a plus 200 in the composite. All right, let's play cliffhanger. We got a couple of other matches to get into. Hell is real, and apparently so are Cincinnati and Columbus to a certain extent in the Eastern Conference. 740 kick. Cincinnati at home at TQL is a plus 116. Crew, get this. Crew are a plus 195 going to Cincinnati. Draws a plus 287. I like that 287.
I do like that 287. I would say that Cincinnati, despite all of their talent, I think that this could be one that could get very dicey. These rivalry games are played differently. I think that Columbus within themselves is a difficult opponent, but I do like those numbers.
Messi and friends played last night. Messi got another brace, and so the sun rose in the west, and Messi got a brace. Messi and friends at the Erector Set are a minus 114 hosting Nashville. And Messi is closing in on Sam Surridge, who B.J. Callahan seems to have unlocked and is the player that they brought in the first place and not the player that was there under the previous administration. Nashville on the road, a plus 252. Messi and friends on the back end of a midweek weekender is a minus 114.
What's the numbers on Nashville?
Plus 252.
Believe it or not, I like the 252. And this is why I feel like Nashville is the first competitive team that they're going to face after the Club World Cup. Say what you want, but Montreal is parameter for no one. The Revolution, neither, to be quite frank. I thought that, Miami starts off with a mistake by Messi that New England capitalizes on and things get going. No, actually, that was the Montreal game. But in this one, the brace by Messi, there's still some deficiencies defensively for this Miami team that now apparently is in the market for Rodrigo De Paul, which is incredible to me. That's where you're going to put your money on when there's other present mistakes. But I get it. He probably gives you some solitude in the midfield. But I do think that Nashville, as a unit, as a collective play, they can give some real issues to Inter Miami, both defensively with their compactness, their ability to close down the flanks, the way they overpopulate the midfield, and on the attack when it comes to set pieces, when it comes to having a guy like Sam Surridge, that I don't see anyone in that defensive line for Inter Miami that's going to be able to stop them. So believe it or not, I'll take Nashville.
Okay. Union hosting Red Bulls, and hopefully the weather will cooperate because the Open Cup quarter has been pushed to 33 days from now because that's the only time the two teams can cooperate and play before the semifinals in the Open Cup. Union, Red Bulls. Union favored at a -119. Red Bulls on the road at +305.
This is a lock draw for me. It
Wow.
is a lock draw for me
Plus
between
two,
these
+267.
between these two teams. This is going to be one. And was it 3.5 on the compost goals?
All right, let's find out what the total is at 3.5.
Because this is one that I feel like to me could go to a 2-2. Look, I like a lot of things that Red Bulls does. I think that Emil Ferber has been very, very good. I think that on the attack, they once they get numbers forward, they have enough power on the attacking end. Chupong has been very, very good. And defensively, they've kind of digressed a little bit compared to that typical Red Bull type of soccer. So I think Philadelphia can get some on them, but I see this as a 2-2 draw.
+3.5 is a +189.
Maybe. But I do like the draw. I do like to lock in that draw.
All right, so then let me wrap up with Toronto and Atlanta. Toronto a +140 at home. They've lost 4 of 6. They did the double oopsie and got rid of Insigne and Bernardeschi. And Atlanta United on the road a +181, draws a +248.
Despite Latalat just continue to just get me upset in every game I watch Atlanta on, I'm going to take Atlanta. I think that the addition by subtraction effect will go away for Toronto in the second game. There was a lot of effort by Toronto and a lot of overplaying, I believe, your XG. But in this one, I feel like things will come back to reality. Atlanta's the better team on paper. They should be the better team on the field. Do not disappoint me, Atlanta, because I am locking you in as well.
Wow, at a +181. All right, so what do we need to pay attention to when you go to the Providence and Swedish Clubhouse and Hair Emporium today?
We have actually in Pulso Sports, let me rephrase that. We're going to put it out first on the Sounder Our Heart YouTube page. We're doing something together between Pulso and Sounder Our Heart where we're, collaborating on a lot of things. So we did a one-on-one with Preki, our assistant head coach, of course, talking about a lot of things about this offense that are some are good, some are question marks. Pedro de la Vega stagnantness and how do you develop a player that isn't getting minutes, and how oddly it is that is your DP player, and why a guy like Paul Rothrock, who is you don't call him a homegrown, but he kind of came through the Tacoma Defiance. He's winning not even a fraction of what De La Vega is, and he's kind of locked in a winger position. Ferreira, being a winger in this system, using those inside channels is something else that has worked for this team recently. So we talked to Preki. He breaks it down, tells us what it is that Ferreira brings, what it is that Paul Rothrock brings, and what are some things that Pedro can do to get more playtime. So very cool interview with Preki. We even talked to him about Over Vargas and his growth, what they're going to do if he leaves. So it's going to be a good one. Wait for that on the Sounder Out Hard YouTube page, as well as eventually on Pulso Sports. We're also going to be obviously talking to Brian Smetzer today, see if there's any updates, strategic moments of what they have to do at Sporting Kansas City. All of that you can find on the YouTube page, of course, of Pulso Sports. And then on Friday, we'll also record today, but we'll take it out tomorrow, that what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan. And then on Monday, Lovin's Coaches Kickoff with Ari Lalonwo.
All right. Here's an idea, and I do have some breaking news before you get out of here.
Okay.
Where Preki is concerned, this is not the breaking news. Go to the side of the Tacoma Dome and do an interview with Preki there.
Oh, I like that.
Talk to him about his time with the Tacoma Stars and all the indoor time in St. Louis and San Jose before he went outdoors and played for the Wiz. But all the time that he and Stevie Jungle were in Tacoma, ripping it up for the Tacoma Stars. As a kid that grew up watching the USA Network when they had the MISL contract. And
wow, look at that.
You got to see Stevie Jungle, Preki, Stan Stamenkovic, who played in Baltimore and looked like he just rolled out of the rack and could put up 6. I mean, it was like floppy shoes, hair all over the place, untucked jersey. Stan Stamenkovic was, yeah, he was the one of the men of Major Indoor Soccer. But yeah, go to the Tacoma Dome and just do a walk and talk with Preki there. Tommy Scoops, Brandon Vasquez, torn ACL, undergoing season-ending surgery. Austin placed him on the season-ending injury list. So Brandon Vasquez out for the year.
Well, there goes any sort of chances that Austin had to get anywhere. For a team that struggles offensively as much as they do, that is bad news. Maybe they can play with John Hader Duran up there and try to figure out some things, but that's definitely the main point of emphasis in your offense. That's a tough one. And it happened during the US Open Cup game, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's tough.
It was a funky step, and you could tell that something wasn't right. And now, any talk that you had with Brandon Vasquez about USM&T and helping up top, that goes by the wayside too. So it is a national point that won't be pursued for Brandon Vasquez, and now they won't have him to help out whatever offense they have there for Los Verdes. As always, my friend, great to see you. Don't be a stranger. Be safe. And go get the stories, and we'll be watching, my friend. Great to see you as always. We'll catch up with you next week.
Always fun to be on, my guy. Take it easy.